We all have giants to face. Some people may be up against bigger adversaries than others, but we all have challenges. Question is, what are you going to do with your giant? There is a Goliath in every believer's journey, and when the correct mindset is not employed, we are at risk of losing it. They could be in the form of fears, questions, diagnoses, torment, divorce, heartbreaks, and other forms of pain. As you face your battles, there are often two voices. One asks us to give up while the other encourages us to keep up the fight. For us Christians, it pays to recognize that the giant in front of us is never bigger than the God who lives in us. David understood this when he faced Goliath. David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 45. Such is the attitude we should have when faced with challenges. We should know that the God we serve is way bigger than the problems we might have. As you are probably aware, David was a seemingly insignificant shepherd boy and last born in a family of 8 children. In the eyes of men and women of his time, he was no more than an errand boy. If a king had to be chosen, there were better prospects even in his family. In the most unlikely odds, this shepherd boy managed to remove the disgrace that had faced the children of Israel for long, Goliath. He was a giant and a champion of the Philistines. David, on the other hand, was not even close to being enlisted as part of the Israeli Defense Forces at the time. Now the soldiers and all of the leadership in Israel didn't know what to do, and out of nowhere, someone unconventional shows up from nowhere and saves the day. How can that be? So it was one of those usual days when David was on his way to deliver supplies to his brothers in the army. As a curious young man, he was intrigued by the challenge Israel was facing at the time. Goliath would always step out and shout to the ranks of the Israelites, "Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, he will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 8 through 9. This remark always terrified King Saul and the Israelites because they compared themselves to the giant and saw no hope of winning. We are told in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 24, that whenever the Israelites saw the man, they all fled from him in great fear. But David was different. He did not make the mistake of comparing himself to the giant. He compared the giant to his God. When Goliath declared these words again, and David heard him, he wondered who this Philistine was, who defied the armies of the living God. He knew the might of his God, and he knew God could beat the giant effortlessly. When his confidence was overheard and reported to Saul, David got the chance to meet King Saul. With confidence, David laid out his plans. David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 22. David had a difficult job convincing King Saul, but he was determined. He was eventually allowed to face Goliath, the giant that had disgraced the children of Israel for years. David explained to King Saul how he protects the sheep from lions and bears, and asserted that the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David had confidence in his Lord, not himself. He knew that by himself he couldn't beat the giant who intimidated even grown men. Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 37. David set out with a sling and 5 stones. This is how much faith David had in God. Faith so strong that he didn't even carry his sword, and he refused to wear armor. As he faced that Philistine, he was so sure that the Lord would give him victory. He told Goliath that all those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 47. David's confidence in the Lord is impressive. As believers, we should all pray to have such faith in the Lord our God, realize that the battle belongs to God and not us, that the only way we will beat the giants in our lives is through the God who lives in us. Child of God, How do you face your giants? What attitude do you show your enemy? Do you whine and complain about how ill-prepared you are, or do you face your giants with confidence like David? We need to rise above the self-defeating thoughts and talks, even when the odds are against us. We must remember that our God is greater than any giant we will face in life. We should know the battle will be won, and not by us. God will win it for us. So really, there is no point in self-defeating ourselves before we set foot on the battlefield. For the battle is not yours, but God's. So even though it seems like the end of the world sometimes, we must rise above what we perceive to be our reality. Just like Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." I say to you today, go and the Lord be with you as you slay your giant in the name of Jesus Christ.